Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Aliens and Angels podcast. My returning guest today is Tamara Calder Richardson. She's a Syrian angelic hybrid, a 6 times near-death experiencer, evidential psychic medium known as the Southern Bell Medium, channeler of ascended masters, angels, and ultradimensionals, and host of the popular YouTube Seeking Heaven channel, and the director of the Academy of Divine Wisdom Ascension School. She has had over 400 hours of past live regression. Most were on other planets. She can now remember past lives at will. She can speak many light code languages from those planets, which activates others on multiple dimensions. And she has been on many podcasts speaking about her near-death experiences, her supernatural after effects, past lives, and quantum travels, her UFO experiences, and ET communication. Plus, she also reads call-in listeners on podcasts around the world using her evidential psychic mediumship and channeling. Tamara is the host and producer of the popular Seeking Heaven channel, www.youtube.com @Seeking Heaven channel, where she has ascension and disclosure guests speaking on an array of topics, and she speaks for many consciousness expanding conferences, offering evidential mediumship and channeling demonstrations, teaching online courses on superpowers. She is also the founder, director, and master teacher of her Ascension School, which offers online courses, workshops, and events at the Academy of Divine Wisdom. Today, Tamara speaks to her experiences with UFOs and ETs and how this gave her a special mission in this life. All of my links are featured below. I want to thank you in advance for liking, commenting, subscribing, and please do share my content out to your friends. And just a reminder that YouTube and Rumble channel memberships are now available, so you can receive my perks and help to support my channel. And without further ado, I'm just going to welcome everybody in the live chat, and I want to thank everybody for joining us. And let's see, I guess we'll bring on Tamara. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, it is so great to be back and see you. And you've been on my channel. I was writing in the chat that you've been on my channel and you were very popular. People liked you a lot. They couldn't get enough. They got actually upset. We had a glitch or something. I've never had it, but you know, we're dealing with this kind of ascended energy, so that's expected. But I had to do a part. Well, we ended up doing 3 parts with you, but people were upset because they were so enthralled in what you were saying. So I love when we get together. I think we have great chemistry, and I really appreciate you, Karen. So thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. I just want to say a quick shout out to Silver Fox 10361, who asks, are we live? Yes, we are. And of course, Denise, my faithful moderator extraordinaire, is also here. And Max is also here today. I just want to say thank you to everybody joining us in the live chat. So I understand today we're going to talk about your ET experiences. Now, last time we went into in-depth discussion about your near-death experiences. I think we covered 6 or more in great detail. I thought today would be interesting for us to talk a bit about um, your contact with extraterrestrials. And I understand you've got a slideshow presentation for us today.
Well, I do. I have something that I did a while back, talking about we are the new Jedis, we are the new star beings, which as I was looking, I'm not going to do the whole presentation. I've got about 10 or 12 slides to show you of what my UFO experiences look like, what my aftermath from my contactee is. So I think visuals are helpful, and it also gets a bigger picture because I know we're all on this journey, and I'm not the only one having contact. And this is just my experience, but maybe it'll make others feel comfortable to come out because I'm a strong believer, whether, I'm a professional evidential psychic medium, also channel ETs, as well as Christ. But I feel like it's very important, whatever you are, whatever natural abilities you have, whatever experiences you have, to own it and be proud of it. And people that don't understand, that's just where they are. So, I mean, which is why I just absolutely adore you, Karen, because you just put it out there. So, but I do want to talk about my experiences, and hopefully that will turn in some people here today.
Wonderful.
And it looks like because my share is disappearing somehow. Can you work on that on my angles? It looks like I'm being beamed up, which really I wouldn't mind that. That'd be kind of nice.
You would do that, you would do that by going into settings,
Okay, I
and
got it.
then you wanna click on your virtual background, and
Got
then you
it.
wanna slide the fade one way or the other till
Got it.
you get it just right.
Oh,
There
wait,
you go. See, there
beaming
you
me
are.
up. Great effects, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Good.
know, it's funny. That's
More
much
solid.
better.
Okay, more solid. Okay, cool. All right. Well, how do you want me to do this? Do you want me to jump into my experiences?
Yeah, why don't you jump into that, and we'll just see, how the discussion rolls off of
Sure.
that. That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, sure. And wonderful intro. That was really sweet. Thank you. So that I was like, wow, that's a beautiful intro. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit about my background, and as if we have time, I'll go into how I discovered I was in the Super Soldier program, which has never been released. I
Mhm.
may give you a teaser. That would
Okay.
be a whole episode. Honestly, it's kind of a lot. But the interest of space and UFOs and extraterrestrials, this is something that has always been within me and really dear. Now, I'm not from the 40s or 50s, but my mom and grandmother, they watched these shows, and my grandmother had this robot that she gave me, which is kind of odd. Why would a grandmother give you a robot that was hers? Space, you know how abductees run in families. Now, she's not here. I can't prove that, but she does have a lot of abilities. Plus, it wasn't a very popular topic to talk about then. But I'm telling you, she gave me that actually is the robot. It was the high wheel. I've got it right over here, the high wheeled robot, and I just adored that. And I also have one that the tin ones were fascinating to me. That are spaceships that twirl around. I have a rocket that you click, and then it unfolds, and a little man's inside a spaceman. So this is something that I've always been interested in. And because I think it's important, especially I mean, a lot of people, including myself, don't remember right off. Oh, I was an abductee. I've been in contact
Mhm.
all along, I mean, because it's not part of our pattern. We have to break out of that pattern, which a lot of us are awakening continuously. Actually, it doesn't stop, and different layers. And so look at yourself too, like what is it that you might have been interested in. And I love the horror movies or sci-fi, because especially with creature features, because think about
Mhm.
it, the alien races look different, and it was a way of me to deal with that. All right, so Bob Lazar, that's a young Bob Lazar, that's a young Tamara. I was at a party. Can you tell I'm holding a martini there? But I'm doing this for a purpose. At this time period, my sister-in-law, matter of fact, you guys, is really good. It's on Netflix, about Bud Hopkins, and he was talking about the lady in New York, the abductee that went up in the building. There's a whole show on it. It's really good. You should see it. in the picture with a bunch of women, the redhead was my sister-in-law. But see, this is weird. This is my sister-in-law. We still gravitate. I've noticed in my readings, we pick people that are also abductees or interested. I don't know why we do this, but we do. And so she hung out with these people. So she said, hey, would you like to go to MUFON in Atlanta? I'm like, I don't know. What's MUFON? And so, because we have to be introduced to this at some point, right? So this was my kind of beginnings. I'm in my 20s. I want to party. I'm like, yay. I'm not thinking about spaceship. So I meet this Bob Lazar at the party. He's very quiet. He's a recluse, but he was a little older than me. Okay. And so I'm just an innocent girl. I'm really not a threat. So he starts telling me all this stuff. He starts telling me how he worked at Area 51. I mean, isn't this a cool story that actually, like, it was just me and him talking. It was just like an organic thing. And I think this is important in people's lives. They talk about where they are now, but I mean, there's some cool stuff along the way. So I'm in this, he's in the doorway, like protected, like he's a very, you might say he was paranoid at that time. And he was kind of just not talking to anyone. But look, I look friendly, approachable. I'm a girl. So he started telling me, and I'm very open-minded. So I just listen. And he talks about how it's like a rubber band and they snap back. They snap back in the time and destination. So they don't always have this hover technology. They can just be between, that's why so many light years, they can do like a rubber band, like a slingshot and go, and we might see it like on Star Trek where when they do the jump and they say, what is it? Quantum jump? What is it, Karen? What is the words they use in Star Trek?
I don't know, subspace.
So yeah, where they just go, okay, so that's what they do. And he explained this whole thing to me. And now I look back on it and go, wow, that was amazing. Okay, so Ginger, and you'll see on the Bud Hopkins things, redhead. This is my husband's sister. She was friends. She was the secretary of the local Charlotte MUFON. She had connections, and so she'd have people come in. So she never liked having people at her house. And so we had an apartment at the time. So she would bring all these cool people that are like famous now over to the apartment. I mean, I think this is a cool backstory because it's like, oh, by the way, right? By the way, I've been telling me this alien thing for a while. So it was the mid-90s, and this is Linda Moulton Howe. Now, when she had the Alien Harvest, she was doing a documentary for HBO. And she wasn't even into this alien thing, right? But then she started seeing the way that they're doing, cutting the parts. We don't have the technology to sear off areas, and it's obviously from some kind of experience, scientific experiment. And so I have her old, what is it, VHS tape of her early thing, and I have her early writings because she just said here. And she was at the time was a newbie. It's really cute. She was a newbie. She's going, oh my God, and this is real. And I've been to the crop circles. Oh my God. She was that. And now she's like grounded in her confidence and an expert in this area. Of course, we know. And then Don Smith came over and showed he had all these boxes of clippings. I mean, it was very intimate and personal, and showing us, and he would these people would come over and talk 3 or 4 hours. So that was one of my experiences early on. And then through time, these things are available to us, but it's when we're ready to accept it and handle it.
Yeah.
And if you're drawn to this, chances are there's a reason. It's not just an interest, okay? And that's okay. It's going to come out when it's going to come out. So I had an accidental DNA activation. I love to say that. It's so funny. And yes, I have worked very hard before I go into that with the 400 hours of past life regression. I studied, even though I was born this way with abilities and knowing and new dates and people and stuff and when kids are born and all that. And I could always have spirit around. It was something I didn't want to talk about early on because I didn't want people to think I'm crazy. So I kept it to myself. But many years later as an adult, my guide said, it's time to help people. So I thought, I'm going to do it. I'll do it professionally. So I did study 8 years with very famous evidential psychic mediums. And so I could do the stage work and so forth. And I'm also a trance channel. So I get bored easily. That's my personality. I don't know if you know Enneagrams. I'm like number 8. I'm like I'm Aries slash Pisces. So I do something, I conquer it, I want to move to the next thing. So
Mhm.
I did well with the mediumship and the channeling, and I can layer a face over mine. I can do the huggy where the person actually they photographed. Look what my face was, a stroke. It was a grandmother. So I can do these things. So naturally other things started coming out, like speaking not in light language, although I can speak multiple light language and can do a transmission today if you want. But uh, could speak like French and this and that to the person that could understand it. Is called a xenoglossy. And I'm a natural channel and a natural trance channel. I've channeled Einstein and Tesla and all that. So I've been talking to Jesus for years. He's been my teacher, and he's very loving. He's got a great sense of humor. He's got a little bit of sarcasm. He's very funny. But he introduced me to this, I'm kind of jumping forward and then coming back. But he introduced me. He's told me all about the alien races. He's told me all sorts of different things, and he's also part of the Galactic Federation, which is sounds so heretical. Is that a word? Heretical. Anyway, yeah. So you know where I'm going with that. But
Mhm.
uh, this is yeah, well, we're just going to leave it as a basis that we've been not told the truth of where we've come from. So after we
Mhm.
had the COVID situation, and everybody's like, "What is this? This is like a weird sci-fi movie." Uh,
Mhm.
but there was, and even in the upset, the confusion, and like, "What is this?" I leaned totally to my intuition. Personally, I didn't take the the thing in the arm. I didn't take it.
Mhm.
Personal choice, but I just listened to my guides. And then during this time, I saw riots, and I couldn't understand them. Honestly, they happen. I still don't understand them. I don't know. I guess it's just people want to, act out at a lower vibration. I don't really know why that happened. So we had this, what we could sense, we could literally start seeing the people of different frequency. We could see their personality. And what's good about that? Well, they've been hidden. So now, because it's kind of like bullying and you're having the cream rise to the top, we're able to see separation. And I think that since not only do people come into their own skin more, and for me, I realized that I was wasting my time and things that didn't really matter. And even though
Mhm.
I love the near death experience, and I do have a lot of, I do quantum travel. Teach that time travel. That's cool because
Oh,
there's
yeah.
time isn't linear, guys.
Nope.
Um, yeah, it's on my school Academy of Divinewisdom.com if you want to. I think it's like $44. It's a little course anyway, but I teach that, and a lot of it has to do is with our consciousness. So a lot of us were expanding during this time and really coming to our own, and so because of that, there was some upset. So do you remember how weird people were dying? And everybody, if you love people, you were like me, you're really upset about that, right?
Mhm.
So my energy was so off. Usually I can put myself on a God bubble, line up my chakras like little lotuses. I can just, it's all good, but I couldn't get it going. So I had this friend who was a medium in South Africa, and she said, there's a lady that can help you, Fiona Van Rensburg. And she said, she can help you. I said, well, does she work with God? Because I don't want any weird dark energy. I'm just saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And some people say it's not there at now. There, duh. I mean, come on, you can see it. I just wanted it clean. And so she goes,
Mhm.
no, she's cool. And she said, she's a Palladian. I said, what's that? And so I thought she just helped my energy, but what her guide said is give her an activation. So the first time I was like, this is fantastic. What is this? She brought in Christ, Michael, Metatron, the Palladians. It was wonderful. And she goes, you just had your first activation on your strand. And I was like, it's cool. When can we do it again? That was so relaxing. And she said, you got to wait 2 months. I said, 2 months? Well, in the meantime, I started seeing things in sacred geometry. Okay. I'm just
Mhm.
mindful, but it may be different for you. So I had the next one, and it was very touching. She brought in the Octurians, she brought in the Palladians, she brought in the Octurians, she brought in the Syrians. When she brought in the Syrian council, I mean, I could cry right now. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
We both felt like whoosh, like I call it a spirit woody. It's not very polite, but I was like
But
whoosh.
it's
It's a
accurate.
rush. It's a rush. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I felt this intense love. And then I began to see that was the last planet I came from. Now, I've been a lot of
Mhm.
things, but that was the agreement, was the last planet. And I was a blue creator being. I was they call it a blue white. And I was a female, and I was a dignitary. I've been a dignitary in a lot of things I've done, like a human rights dignitary, if you want to call it that. And so, part of the Galactic Federation for eons. That's coming up. But so anyway, I did this thing. And as I woke up, I said, oh my gosh, it was a bright, warm day. And it was coming through the window. And I'm laying there. I'd taken off my meditation mask. I took it off. And I'm on the laptop, South Africa. And the room is lit blue. Now, there's no reason for to cast like a UV light in my room when it's a warm day and it's natural lighting. I don't even have lights on. And I said, and then I started doing my hands like this. And I said, I'm glowing blue. I said, is this just me? She goes, no, you're blue. And so 5 times after that, I started glowing blue. Now, after this, so it's my bioluminescence. Syrians are known for their bioluminescence. They're also known for their directness, but they have a very sincere heart. Now, so after the second one, then we're glowing blue. My husband and I, right shortly, like a week later, maybe a week and a half, we're going to the mountains. Well, it takes forever for us to go anywhere. Have the 2 dogs. He wants to bring the pillows, bring some more food. I mean, it just takes forever. So we're getting there late because we just got to bring all our comforts. And as we're going, we're climbing the mountain, which is Asheville, North Carolina, which it's interesting. Dr. Stephen Greer saw his first UFO in Charlotte, North Carolina, and his second one in Asheville. And mine was reversed, but that's what happened for me. So these ships are everywhere. Okay. They're freaking everywhere. I mean, there's so many. They're everywhere. They're usually hidden in the clouds. They come out at night, communicate with me. So we're climbing the mountain. My husband, who's a normie, I've been watching Wednesday. I don't know if y'all watch Wednesday. The show is so good. And I would be considered an outcaster, which I prefer to say a misfit toy, but he's a normie, okay? Which he grounds me, and
Mhm.
he's loving and he's supportive and he makes sure my energy is protected. And he's like my protector. He's just so awesome. But he goes, look at that. And there was a fleet by our car. I mean, it was no question, okay? There's no freaking question. It's a whole fleet. Now they call them pearls, like a string, but there was a
Mhm.
fleet. And it was the strangest thing. I felt so much peace when I saw them. It was not startling to me like I see them ever. It was like really close too. How close? I can't perceive that, but I was in close enough that I could get a visual, and they did look like saucers. And then he goes, but look at that one. I didn't even notice this stuff. And I looked, and it was like a fireball by my window. And it seemed really low, much lower than the others, but it was huge. And I talked later to Craig Campobasso, who's written what is it, UFO Hotspot book, and the Intergalactic Species Almanac is so good. Y'all should get that. But he said, oh, those things, that's what they look like. It's the heat vapors that come off of some of these ships. Well, they followed us about 8 minutes, and now you'd say, why didn't you bring out your phone? I was in this, I know this, but I was in ecstasy. I was
Mhm.
in ecstasy. And I was just, and I was telling them how much I love them. And I'm so glad they're here, and I miss them. And I know it doesn't sound rational. I understand what I'm saying. All I can tell you is that's what happened. I didn't expect to go, I love you. I really love you. I mean, that's not what I would expect. If you asked me, I would say, oh, I'd take a picture. I'd go, oh my God, what is that? That's not what
Mhm.
happened. This was like, I knew that was my family. I knew it.
Mhm.
So this is what I saw, and that was Sunday, August 15th, 2021. And again, it was 7:45 because I was looking at the time because it's taking us forever to get there. So the sun was going down, and it was a very clear visual. There was nothing murky about this at all.
Mhm.
So the next time so the weekend we go to Asheville, it's raining about all weekend except for one day, which is fine. I needed the rest. It's okay. But I couldn't stop thinking about them. I was kind of in this kind of blissful, happy, kind of hypnotic state, quite honestly. And so it wasn't till later I found with Mary Rodwell that anytime you see a UFO, you get a download. I said, oh, what kind of download? She goes, well, it's different. So I started drawing these symbols like all over the place. and
Mhm.
I knew they meant something. So I did a lot
Mhm.
of research and come to find out they're Syrian. They're absolutely Syrian. Well, I'd never looked at that before. Well, I just said I just turned blue and I was Syrian, and I've got a Syrian ship family follow me. So I started drawing these, and I didn't really stop after that. Then, so you figure that one was August, right? So here we now October. So I've still been thinking about them. It's kind of longing for them, and
Mhm.
And so, but it's kind of like, you know, how it kind of flashes in your mind. So I went to
Mhm.
get pizza for takeout, healthy, and I'm going in the driveway and I see these lights. I have a long driveway. Yes, I'm about 20 minutes from the city of Charlotte, but it kind of looks like country, even though I'm close. And so it's a long driveway. And so I'm seeing these bright lights and I'm thinking, oh my God, that must be a helicopter. It's so low. They must be, maybe there's someone that's on the run. That's the first thing my logical mind thought. And as I getting close, and I had to stop the car, I get closer to my driveway because I don't want to be out on the road. So I get closer in, and I'm looking at. I literally had to stop the car mid. I got a little bit closer, stopped the car midway, and I couldn't comprehend what I was saying. I do have a drawing of it. I don't have it right now, but
Mhm.
it was longer than this. It was like this, but longer. And what it had was lights spraying off the top that were like kind of like when you have a crystal in the prisma where it sprays lights, where it's multiple
Yes.
lights. But the
Mhm.
bottom was exact. It was yellow, green, blue. It's like those RGB colors. It was just perfect. Boom, boom, boom. Spotlights. And it was a full mothership. But there's no way a full mothership could fit in my backyard. It was in my backyard. So they have the technology apparently to shrink this. They have to shrink and show you. Now, if I didn't know that at the time, I had to ask some experts because I didn't know about that. But because I
Mhm.
mean, you got to figure. I can't comprehend this. I got a freaking miniature mothership in my backyard. And I'm like, I mean, this is a WTF moment. I mean, I didn't know what to say. So I'm sitting there, I parked the car and I'm looking at it. And I had to say, what am I looking at? Then I called my husband in the car. I said, "Get outside. We have a big ass UFO in the backyard." It was a mothership. So he runs out that as soon as he ran out, it goes, it sucks back. So
Mhm.
it let me see it. And it just made me miss home more. Okay.
Mhm.
So so around this time, sometimes in our very deep sleep, right? When we are just checked out and we are traveling, we're healing the planet, we're doing all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
Just when I was in a very deep sleep. You ever woken up from a sleep and you're not asleep? It's kind of weird where you're asleep, you wake up and you're like, why am I saying this in my dream? And you're awake, you're at that cognitive point where you're aware of your dream. Well, that's what
Oh,
happened.
yes. Oh,
You know,
yes.
it doesn't happen a lot. It really doesn't, but you're super almost like super hyper aware. Does that make sense? And you're like, we're like, why? This doesn't make sense. There's a werewolf in here, where you're aware. So that's
Yeah.
what happened. I woke up within it. And Commander asked her, well, I didn't know who he was at first. I know that sounds silly, but because my amnesia kind of forgot. So
Mhm.
I wake up and I thought I was in the Seattle spindle where it's really, was it Portland, that tall spindle? And I was like, "Oh," and it had the windows where it kind of was, arched, the windows, it had you could see everything out there. I was so hyped, and then I realized it was the galaxy, and I saw these ships coming out, but at first, all I know, I was really high, and I remember being frightened, like, "I'm so high, like, am I okay?" Well, I'm in my astral form, I don't know why I'm worried about that, but I go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so high," and I'm at a control panel, and I'm looking at these ships coming out. And I look at this guy and I drew the picture of him. He has wider eyes. They're like wider set and they
Mhm.
look green to me. People make them blue, but I thought they were green. Anyway, but he did have his hair slicked back and because I thought it was cheesy. I thought he looked like he should be like an ABBA band or something like that. And it
Yeah.
was slicked back and it was kind of like here. And he had a notch collar and he had a seal on. I drew all the stuff and it wasn't that seal, didn't look like that. And he said, and actually the Star Trek logo and all that, that is actually copy and memory from Gene Roddenberry from the Galactic Federation. So just FYI, that a lot of that stuff's Galactic
Hmm.
Federation, straight out of Galactic Federation. You know, the little thing where all the little races get together and have a forum, that's real. Anyway,
Mhm.
he said, he looked kind of disgusted. He goes, it's really time for you to remember. Like, this amnesia's got to stop. And so I was like, so you're in charge of this thing? He goes, I am. And I said, what is your name? He goes, Astor. And I said, and he began to take me on this tour. So I'm going to show you this tour on the ship. Now, with all this happening, I got so many abilities. I know different races. I know different it all came back, including my super
Mhm.
soldier stuff. But it was over time, because this is some deep stuff. They do things to hide it from people. I mean, they wipe you like Men in Black. So it's hard to get there. Okay. But I did, because
Mhm.
I'm hard headed. So I was determined to get there. So as we're on there, it's not exactly per se, but this I don't know which way you're looking, but the one with the ball, it wasn't ball. It wasn't a ball, but it was like an energy source in the center, just like that. And it was open, because I was like, oh, they didn't contain it. And it went straight kind of up, like it looked like there was like a tube thing, but it wasn't like maximum security. It was just kind of there. And it was straight up. It was not a ball. It was like, and I said, what's that? He goes, this is our energy source. It's mixed with our consciousness, and it's pranic energy, and he began to explain this thing, and I was like, okay. And then the people were walking around. I remember how a lot of people are from Syria, by the way. A lot of people from Syria. I'll tell you the Syrian traits in a minute, and that way you'll know you're you. They have a lot of the same traits. I could look at someone and tell now where they're from, which is really cool.
Mhm.
Uh, so and we're mixtures, right? We've been a
Yep.
lot of we've been a lot of things. All right, so we don't want to
Yep.
get hung up on a race. I mean, most people are hung up on the last planet. You know, they have a little affinity like that from their last planet.
Mhm.
We've been a lot of things that don't even look close to human. So
Mhm.
anyway, getting back, they had these jumpsuits on, and I remember how fit they were, but the jumpsuits fit in a way that I couldn't really see a zipper, because I was looking for the zipper. It's like it
Yeah.
just kinda fit on them. 'Em. You're laughing because you know about that.
I call it shrink wrap. It's just kind of like, and it's on them like a second skin, and there are no buttons or clips or
Yeah,
zippers or anything. Yeah.
yeah.
I just want to say too, your image here with the ball in the middle of the table, but you described it as being more of a tower. I've seen that many times in the exopolitical work where I go and do meetings, political meetings with other beings, and it's kind of like a semi-transparent holographic
Yes.
representation of
Yeah.
whatever the subject is or
Yes.
planet or whatever we're talking about. So I'm very familiar. So I can totally confirm a lot of what you're saying for sure.
Well, I knew you were smiling. I knew. I was like, you know this personally. Well, let me just explain what I saw. It changes form. So this ball, it can change forms. Don't get hung up on the shape, right?
Mhm.
So it could be a ball, it could be straight up, because mine was like spiraling, okay? That it
Mhm.
can change because it's energy, right? So if we look
Mhm.
at what is it? Oh, what is it when you have the water and you put the music and then it turns into like little snowflake looking things in sacred geometry? It
Like
changes with
cymatics.
cymatics. Thank you.
Yes.
Cymatics. I did a whole thing on that. Cymatics. Okay. Michael Tillinger talks about that. Anyway,
Mhm.
so the frequency changes. So this ball changes. So I just want you to know that, don't get hung up on the ball or straight up, or it does change form, but it is an
Mhm.
energy source to power ships. So they're walking around. I'm really fascinated because I'm like, God, they're so trim. It's like really stuck on them, I mean, right. And I'm like, they really fit. And so he said, I want to show you around. So I was an esteemed guest. This was not like some crazy abduction. This was like an honor. So he showed
Mhm.
me around, and as he did, the people in the suits would go toot 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 toot, toot, and they just had this holographic thing in front of them, like this dude here. The stuff would just pull up. And oh, thank you for supporting, Denise, Karen. Yay! Thank you. Yes, God bless you. Okay, so it's just open windows like this, and everybody knew who I was. They were very professional. Now, what he did, he said, "Well, let me take you around." That's what he said. And okay, before we get to this, so he's taking me around. So we leave the main room, And all he does is wave. He does this, and the door's open. I thought, cool. He
Mhm.
just goes, doot, and then the door's open. He doesn't even touch a button. Like on shows, they touch a button. He don't touch a button. He just does like that, and it opens. But it's a seamless door. So we go through the door, we walk, and we're walking around in this sidewalk. Let me explain this sidewalk. I don't know if I have another picture of it. Let me see. I tried to find it. Okay, here's the sidewalk. Do you see that? Uh,
Mhm.
uh, People would go in the inner circle when they were coming, and then the outer circle going, and actually, but here it was closed. That was open too, so it was all windows. So it was open on the top. It was amazing. I couldn't stop looking at the view. I was like, oh my god! When I see anything with space or the galaxy, I love nebulas. I get so
Mhm.
excited. So it was open, and we're walking along, and then he goes to this wall, and he goes, dude, like, how do you know a door's there? And then as he opens it, it's like a holographic thing, like we're in a jungly paradise. He goes,
Mhm.
"We need to talk." And I think he did that because it would make me feel like more comfortable to have greenery. And I
Mhm.
said, "Oh, you want to?" He doesn't joke, by the way. Um, he doesn't have the sense of humor like humans do. So I said, "Oh, you want to talk about the state of our planet being blown up?" And I was joking, like a joke, but not really, maybe. And he
Mhm.
looked like he didn't think that was funny. You know how many times they've stopped nuclear stuff? They have stopped them
Oh, yeah.
so many times. I mean, that wasn't even funny to him. He looked like your mom does when, like, please don't say that. And so I was like, oh, okay, wow, I feel kind of, bad about saying that. And then he began to talk about it's time for everybody to step it up. And what he began to tell me, it was pretty in depth. I won't go into it, but what he did say is it is very, very important for all of you listening, very, very important. And thank you, Karen. Thank you, thank you, thank you for you being you, because you are anchoring your DNA and your frequency to light up others. And that's what he said I was supposed to do. He said, well, there's several doing it. Okay.
Mhm.
Since then, I've been back in the ship many times, and I've been in this auditorium where there's just a ton of people, and I actually
Mhm.
recognize them in. Have you been in that auditorium when they have like all hands on deck kind of deal?
Yeah, I have actually my first memory of being aboard the big ship, and that's exactly where I was. And there was all these other beings. Now I knew they weren't human because they were a little different, but they weren't freakishly different. Do you know what I mean? I was not ever afraid or upset. Sorry, I don't want to make this about me. You go ahead.
No, no, no. This is sharing. It's great. No, it's great. This is just validation. This is real. So we go around. He does like that. He explains that we are in this body. There's limitations, but as they go through certain they're very orderly. Now think about heaven and earth. Okay, this is the aliens and angel podcast. All right, there's a perfect order. You say in the heavenly realms, the 12D realms. Okay, that means down below the frequency was low vibe, right? Even below death low vibe, like icky, varminty things. You're gonna have more
Mhm.
chaos, right? So the
Mhm.
Galactic Federation has a lot of order. It's
Yeah.
very orderly. It's very orderly in just a matter of fact kind of way. And he said that when certain things happen, certain timeline are adjusted and the trajectory changes each time, and it almost like sacred geometry, he's explaining each DNA strand within us that are already awake, that means everybody watching is going to open to the next notch. So what does that mean? Well, now I just know people where they're from. I can speak various light language, including reptilian. It's kind of weird. And so that kind of freaks some people out. I don't want to trigger anyone. Not all of them are bad. Some are waking up. So anyone listening that's a reptilian, that's not. I don't want to, say anything bad because they're trying to ascend to. But we went through and we talked, and he said, so it's very important you remember. And they had areas, and it made me feel like a mall. Like certain areas looked like a mall, and they were vast. And then they didn't have escalators per se. It wasn't like that, but it was an automatic system. It didn't look like well, it was like a space age escalator. Anyhow, there was a forum that we went to where people socialized. They weren't people. There was all kinds of. I remember seeing a frog person, and see, they're all
Mhm.
telepathy, so they know what you're thinking. I'll go, wow, you look different. They're going to know that. So you kind of want to just try to be as cool as you can. Like, okay, you just got to don't think anything too weird because they're listening and they respond to
Mhm.
you immediately. So we go into this area now. It's not exact, so I'm going to paint a picture, but it's a big form. Over to the far left, they had they were these stations, and you would wave your hand, and there were different languages, and they look like what you would think, like doot, doot, crazy languages, and you would pick your language, and then you pick your menu, and they would print up a menu. Not a print, like paper. I mean, they would make your food right there. And then
Mhm.
some people did that. Others were uh, congregating, but they do it in a telepathic manner. Above was this star system. You know how like we have chandeliers or like these cool like lights or Sputnik lights? They had a planetary system, like it was beautiful, like lights. I didn't recognize it. Okay.
Mhm.
It wasn't Earth. I mean, Earth's kind of the underdog, y'all. I mean, but this was a beautiful, beautiful constellation of planets. I don't know this solar system. So he walked me around, and then he took me to the very end, and he said, and we're back on that thing. So he walks as we go further and further back, it becomes a little bit more industrial, not bad, just more not as fancy. And
Mhm.
for the honored guests that are there. So we go further back, more industrial, and then an Arcturian being comes tall, it's like purpley, comes to me and says, "I'll take you the rest of the way." And he said goodbye. So we go the rest of the way, and then there's a short looking. I thought they looked Asian. They had Asian eyes, and then
Mhm.
they took me to this place, and she goes, "You need bath now." I'm thinking, I don't want to get naked in front of people. I went, no. And so, I mean, I thought it was so weird. They said, "You take hot bath, you feel better." They were very insistent. And I'm like, but I kind of they didn't care what I look like. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'll take a bath. Okay. So I take this hot bath, and they come out with miso soup. I think it's so and then they had miso soup and tea. I remember that both. I'm like, two hot things. I'm like, why are you putting all this hot stuff to me? And then they put me in like this robe when I got out, and they sat down. I sat down and had that. Next thing I know, that I'm gone. Well, I shared this. I wasn't even going to share it. It was so detailed with Preston Denton. He goes, "Did they give you the hot tea or the hot?" And I said, "What about the bath?" He goes, "Oh, they're obsessed with baths." And I said, "Well, what was the little Asian thing?" He goes, "Look again. Do you think it was Asian?" I was like, "Ugh." So what it is, they're shorter, and they have really big eyes, but
Mhm.
they're Asian-y eyes, but they're big. But they're a type of Palladian. Not all Palladians are Nordic looking. It's a type of Palladian, just like all
Mhm.
Syrians. There's a sign of Syria, not Sirius B. That's a little planet. I did a whole talk on that, which is really cool from my memories of being of aqua Aryan, half fish, half human. But there's another side of it where they're like reptilian snake people, like the dry lands, the deserts. It's like renegade pirates, kind of thing over there. So we all look. Even these planets, they don't all look the same. So I just want to throw that out there. So I left that situation. There's the bathhouses, and see, it's more industrial. It just goes more simple, like toward the end. It didn't look bad. It was more simple, and that they didn't really the baths didn't look like that. It was more industrial stalls, but that's just what they do. And I've been on there since then, um, and I wanted to show one last slide because I think it's so pretty. But I've been on there since then, and I was doing a meditation with this South African group, the girl that introduced me to the Palladian activator, and said, "Oh, we're going to do this meditation. Will you join us?" And I was like, "Okay, I guess." And I remember I just kind of just woke up throwing some glasses, and because they're in the UK and in South Africa, and so we're doing it, and I didn't know we're live. I didn't know we had like 200 people watching us. I was just caught up. And so this lady's doing this meditation, and she's Indian. She's doing this little ding, little bowl. And she goes, "We're in the galaxy. So where are you? What do you see? You're met with love. You're on your level of this high level consciousness." So I was met. This was pretty powerful. I didn't expect it. And that's usually the great when you don't expect things. And I went to this healing chamber, and it was light grid. It was like it was upright bed, like a tanning bed, sorta, but it was
Mhm.
light grids around it. And I had the council, they represented different star nations that were surrounding me.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of councils over there, y'all, just a lot. But there was
There is a lot.
a lot. Okay, there was 8 to 12. I can't recall right now, but around that number. But they were standing around me, and I knew that they were there for my well-being. So I was like, "Okay,
Mhm.
they're doing something, is good. All right." And then from there, I am blown back, like a ship, when they clean you off beforehand with all that clean air stuff. And then, and then I'm seeing Aster there with Jesus behind him. And Jesus is smiling real big. Aster's serious, so he's not smiling. But he's holding this thing. I didn't even know what it was. I know this is so embarrassing to say I didn't know what it was. Because I know a lot of stuff now. So you can know in an instant. But we have
Mhm.
amnesia to forget it. So I'm embarrassed to admit I didn't know it was a Merkabah. Okay, I didn't understand that at the time, but he had a Merkabah, and it was all light, and I said, and he's holding it to me like an award, and I looked, and I said, "What's it for?" And Jesus tells me, Yeshua, Sananda, wherever you want to call it. I know his official name is
Mhm.
not Jesus, but he knows who he is. Anyway, so old habits die hard. Anyhow, he's in the back smiling, and he said, you this amplifies because it's an amplifier, and they begin to show me how, like, a mirror and a mirror and a mirror and a mirror, it amplifies. I said, okay. And he said it has momentum. He said it transforms thought into anything that you want. So that was an honor because I could be responsible enough for that. And I said, anything? I said, well, then I put it in my heart, which I did not know that is a Palladian thing. You're supposed to put it in your heart. Your
Mhm.
heart chart, and I put it in there, and I said, "Oh, I need to use it another." I said, "I'll put it in my heart so I can love more." And then
Mhm.
I put it in there. Went, "Oh no! What about if I need it to help other people?" And they said, "Oh, it's okay. It's multidimensional." So then I would take my Merkaba, put it in my dog to heal. I'd put it in other people. It also can blow back the enemy too. You can go and send a light bomb, which is really awesome. I mean, I really don't have to do that, but you can. And
Mhm.
it's spinning constantly. Well, I didn't realize later that that's kind of a thing. So when I tried to say, did anyone like to share in the group? So every time I tried to share that, my audio would go out. So they started
Mm.
laughing. They go, apparently they don't want you to tell anyone right now. I was like, okay. So when they got the video back, when they downloaded it, my picture blanked out on that whole time, like it's black, but everybody saw me.
Interesting.
I know,
Mhm.
I know, and since I need to point this out, when I saw every UFO, and I've seen UFOs since, I see them all the time in the sky. I even showed my mom, she goes, "Yeah, right." And then she goes, "It's moving." I said, "I tell you, I'm trying to tell you. I mean, stars don't move like that." And so
Mhm.
my mom's like, "You're right." And so she has seen that before too. But when I do see them, like before, I'll try to do an interview like with this, and they'll start doing a transmission, and it sounds like this. It's like, the old tapes when they played it backwards made that sound like,
Mhm.
and it'll start coming through, and sometimes the video or the film will start shaking, which I've never seen that. No reason for it to do that. So they are interacting. They work at a much higher vibration. Very, very, very few of them are the lower tone. Okay. And you know
Mhm.
who they are. It's pretty easy since the whole COVID. You know who has this agenda for self and greed and all that. And then the others are for love. It's pretty
Mhm.
easy to find out. Okay. It's not a hard thing. And if you just connect to that love vibration, that's where they are, and that's where you're going to find them. So I want to show the last slide because and then I want to, Karen, this just reminds me of you. Okay, here we go. So, there, well, I'll say this is really quick. I was talking about there's so many of us that are seedlings, that are walk-ins, that are hybrids. We are the waymakers to offer humanity a gentle, loving solution regarding post-disclosure by our presence to raise the vibration of Mother Earth, to hold the space for others. We do this through how we talk, present ourselves, using our innate spiritual gifts. We need to use them. Now's the time for ourselves and
Mhm.
others through our soul essence, thought wave intentions to create a new earth based on Christ consciousness. Now, I'm going to go to the last slide, talk about being a Jedi. And I was just having
Mhm.
fun there. Oh, I love this guy. I actually had to buy one of these things. They're so great. So I
Mhm.
said, what are star beings? And then I go into the way of the Jedi and about to grounding themselves in their spiritual essence. You have to have purity to reach that level and give up. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It just means your mindset and intentions have to be pure for the greater good. And so this is about leading humanity to positive outcomes. And then I ask people, I have this call of convocation. It's a call to action. Remember who you are, an eternal soul from the stars. Here now to illuminate your DNA across multiple dimensions. Remember why you're here, to lead and usher others into the new way, a new world filled with love and non-judgment. Now travel to the stars once more through the galactic travel, communications, trade, and relationships. Accept and appreciate who you are and what you have to offer this world. Now it's the time to use your superpowers and combine yours with others so you can have united power. Be the change I am, you are, and so it is. And this reminds me of you, Karen, so much. This is the last slide. It just reminds me of you. Mobilization and unification with it, doesn't it? Within ourselves and with our soul tribe. Remember why you're here. Remember why you're here. And you can see this is basically the same thing I read before, but accept and appreciate who you are and accept that you're here for a reason. Accept that mission with grace and with love and humility. But we are them. We are them. So we haven't been told exactly the truth. So there's no,
Mhm.
you can feel things through vibration, just like I did when I saw those ships. And, this is your message. It's going to happen and soon,
Mhm. Mhm.
publicly, where they'll look like us the first go round, but a lot of them don't look like us. Oh, and the
Mhm.
suit, and the one last thing. Oh, hold on. I did have one last thing. Hold on. I did. I thought I was done with it. I did have, hold on, let me go through this really quickly. Okay, maybe I don't have it in this one. So, I will say this, as a teaser, that after all this, you think, well, what's your next step? You don't need to worry about your next unfoldment. You just need to do it with grace and actually like a childlike wonder. Like, I'm like, you got to be kidding. Like sometimes I just start laughing, like, really? And it's just always a surprise. But as a child, I've been having memories, and it's come out now where I was abducted, and that has come out, and it was a mantis and grays, and they took me to a lab. Uh, 22 floors down in a military compound where I was a PSYOP leader. I
Mhm.
trained people and super soldiers. I remember the magnetic trains. I've got all these drawings. Even did so much was coming out. I did deep hypnosis with Geraldine Orozco, and she really helped me through a lot of it. And I haven't come out too much because I've got to do what I feel like's perfect timing. But
Mhm.
yeah, there was a lot there, and I think that's why I'm comfortable with different alien races because I actually saw so many. And there were reptiles there, and there were Nazis there. Just gonna say.
Mhm.
They were
Mhm.
German, but they were Nazis.
Mhm.
They have a
Mhm.
vibration, you know who they are, but they don't really focus on the people in training because they have a
Mhm.
mission, they're just doing their thing, they kinda ignore you. But yeah,
Mhm.
there are different races, and actually they would put you on different tests, like, they put me in a tube, and they put things in my nose and stuff, so they were bringing different races. Some of them were crazy looking, like octopus looking, frog looking, different really strange looking things, and I
Mhm.
could freak out because I drowned. You know what I mean? You had to breathe through your little tube in the tube, and they would so I had to learn to slow down my breathing and to be calm when I would see each one come in, and some of them looked like dragons. And
Mhm.
that didn't mean they looked scary, but they weren't scary, but it was training because you couldn't freak out if you were in front of them like a delegate. You couldn't freak out and have a meltdown, so they learned to
Mhm.
address that.
Mhm. Yep. I do you think that part of our conditioning and experiences is so that when the ET presence is definitely here beyond debate, we will be able to say, these beings are, our love base. These beings are here for our good. Basically, just to offer a point of reason to humanity, because it's their knee-jerk reaction to freak out over anything that looks different. And so we could quell a lot of the fear, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I think it's our human nature, and I think that there was one thing that I remember seeing, and I thought it looked like to me like it looked like it was an old like a grandmother, like a black person, but it was really like a slug creature with
Mhm.
like a little bonnet on. I mean, this is the way I mean, what I'm saying, how do you process that? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? How do you like, what is that? What does that mean? You know?
Mhm.
I don't know what that means. So, and it had a little face and it was so Java-esque. Okay. But I because we don't know how to process these things, and so to be a part of the Galactic Federation, a diplomat of different planets, they had to expose you to these things. And think about how they're going to expose you. They had to get you to calm down. They couldn't have you. So they had certain people agreed from that race to
Mhm.
work with the people in the program at that
Mhm.
level to help indoctrinate them. They have to indoctrinate you because it's crazy stuff. And the frog
Mhm.
people, they had a little helmet. They had water in it because they have to have water. And but
Mhm.
I tell you, my main teacher, and I actually get emotional talking about this. I mean, and I can't help on. I don't like, why am I getting emotional? But was a mantis. And we just connected, and they were very gentle and sweet. And it's funny, when I spoke on the Galactic Origins cruise, I don't know, a year and a half or whatever it was, Tony Gaza was there, whatever. And my husband's sitting there. Well, I always told Clay he's a mantis and martial arts. People said, you move like a mantis. And he looked at my husband. He goes, you're actually a mantis. And I think they arranged that.
Mhm.
It's weird because he has this, the way he moves and so forth. He's very gentle. But my teacher, I loved my teacher, was a mantis. And the grays, they just do what they're told, but there's a whole thing there. But yeah, they have technologies. How do you explain the technologies they have? I've seen where I was in a jump gate. I was also a pilot. I piloted stuff, but with my consciousness. See, it's weird. It's not like a regular pilot where you push buttons.
Yep.
You're blended with the ship. And they also have a control panel, so you don't have to do the whole thing, but your consciousness is also blended. But for you to do that, you have
Mhm.
to you can't have a monkey mind. You got to control your mind. They wouldn't put you there. God knows where you'd take the ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's really very interesting. Wow, the hour just slipped by as it always does when you're on the show. I want to thank you so much. I also want to give you a few minutes to remind people where they can find you. I've got the links in the description below the video, but there's a lot of people that will be listening to this on an audio. I hope they come over and watch the video so they can see the visuals. But do you want to tell people what are you up to? Invite them to whatever you're doing, your channel, whatever. And also where people can find you. And also, do you have any kind of a closing statement or message for the viewers and listeners? That would be awesome.
yes, I would say the biggest journey you'll ever take is yourself, and trust yourself. Don't be afraid. I mean, you're safe, right? You're here. You're safe. There's nothing that's going to happen. And the
Mhm.
things that we're jumping. I will say this to everyone. We're going through something right now. I'm going to say this real quick, and I know that, I want to go past the hour too much here, but we're jumping timelines again. Now, I don't know if you felt
Mhm.
this, Karen, but we're doing
Yes.
it again. This has happened the past 2 weeks, really hard. It's been rough. So the people that are the unique ones out there, the spiritual sensitive people, that are watching your channel, you might feel, and it's different for different people, but I'll just talk about me. I'm restless. I can't sleep. I don't know why I can't sleep. Now I'm doing a little better
Mhm.
this week, but it's been where I'm just wide awake and my
Mhm.
mind is like sharp. The other thing would be I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted for no given reason. I could really take naps, and not a
Mhm.
napper, but that's what I feel like. Also, my brain synapses and thoughts are shifting to odd things. For example, I'm looking at people in the world from like a third person. Like, it's almost like a
Mhm.
disconnection. And I think it's like, I'm going to come back, but right now I'm looking at things like from an objective perspective. I even look at my mom going, I love you, but I've had a lot of moms, and I'm doing this weird. It's a detachment a little bit,
Mhm.
and I'm just in the state of observing. I'm not getting upset by all this stuff. So there's an ascension symptoms going on. If you feel this weird stuff, just write it out. We got this human resonance going on. It is real. they're upgrading our DNA and our thought patterns are changing. I also noticed that habits or things that are really important right now, your next step or whatever you need to get rid of is just coming up. Anna Starr was on her channel talking about, she started crying. I'm addicted to nicotine. I was like, okay, well, thanks for the confession. But whatever your thing is, it's coming up so you can handle it so you don't have distraction. And so just be
Mhm.
nice to yourself, be, kind to yourself, and just know it will pass. Right now, we're literally, because we've decided, no, I don't like that weird timeline. We're going to jump. So it's, we can, which is really, yes, I'm talking about the Mandela effect. I really am. So we're going to
Mhm.
see things change. So just, we're together. We all decided to jump the timeline. We're together. So we have the same reality. There's a lot of people that might not. You can still send them love. And
Mhm.
I guess so I'm saying, we're in this together. All is well, and we are met with love. And angels are real, okay? And they are
Yes.
these higher level. They are here protecting us, looking out for us. They're very, very busy these days, and they're infinite. There's an infinite supply of that. Christ is in charge of all the angels, but Michael's in charge of the ones on Earth. Metatron is the interdimensionality in the galaxy. But there's an order. Remember, I said the order, but they're infinite. Then they're here for us at any time, and they are the Elohim creators. They're here to help. As far
Mhm.
as how to get in touch with me and what I'm doing a medium demonstration. I'm an evidential medium in Myrtle Beach, and that is the 16th. It's I guess a little over a week. That's Tuesday, September 16th. And then I'm doing this with you. And at 4 o'clock on my channel, it's YouTube, it's at Seeking Heaven channel. I'm doing something with Calvin Crippen, and I should turn him on to you. I found him. He is a enlightened Starseed, and he has got some real edgy stuff. He does rapping, and he raps about like Atlantis and really cool stuff. So, it
Mhm.
touches my heart, especially in a really beautiful way when I see different cultures of the African American community saying the same stuff we do, because we are really one. There's no separation. It's beautiful, and so
Mhm.
I want to support others. We need to support each other. So, and I also have an Ascension School, Academy of Divine Wisdom. There's some free and paid for classes there, and I will be doing events in Karen. I'll eventually do some kind of little workshop or a little something to help out. And if you want anything that for Karen and us to do, let Karen know. Write it in the chat if there's something you want us to do. An ascension, symptoms, healing, light language, and all of that. Do you want me to do you want me to do an activation before I go, or do we
Sure.
have time? Okay, let
Yeah,
me take.
we got a few minutes.
Okay, so everybody, write in the chat. What is it that you need help for as an activation, and that's what it's going to be. I think I already know, but go ahead and write in the chat what it is that you feel you need to be unstuck from. Go ahead and write that real quick, and then I'm going to do that. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to do it opening the next DNA strand. Okay. So this is Syrian. Okay. Here we go. This is Syrian and Atlantean. Okay. Because when I was in Atlantis, I was from Sirius B. So this is the language it will be. Alukula si hapula pula apula pula. Ala shila kola la silatina shalakana ala shalakilatina tukupasala tanta sitachita botona. Hello, 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 hello. Si ala ko ala bula kala mandarese. Ai shini kine pula tanda sete ete kine monte tanda si. And the shite combalate emetete siti putu palande ala shila koda patande si. Ai drogomba la hala si de ki ala romba la tanda de ki der shula ada ai asila comba la tanda sila kate ki manana sita ka ala te motoroshina kanadritse, ate, alokola batanda sila kitishi, emushianta, amushiata, elaka, elesile kimilete, eleminitu, alakalamalasi, shananda, esanita, shananda de ki, da polatande si, alamo. Alakila patole siliti. Abulasha elemete le diti monte. Alakola petela si shititi di mototombata. Akola.
Wow. That was
So
very powerful.
how did that feel to you? I'm curious. Where did you feel it
I
in your body?
got goosebumps all up and down my arms, across the top of my back, down the front, down my legs. I had a huge physical um, reaction. And plus, it was also very pleasant. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing that.
O okay, so thank you for that. So, what I was working on, so I can verbalize it, is basically, remember I said the Merkabah, opening that, I did the
Yeah.
multidimensionality in people, and I worked on the heart. I think at one point I said Sananda, but I opened the heart, and then, the mind, there was a lot of people had a lot of fog, they're letting density come back into their head. No
Mhm.
judgment, just saying that we live here. I mean, we just have to keep working on it. But a lot of density, like family problems, this and that, whatever it is, right? Paying bills, whatever, right here, density. So I removed that. I worked a little bit on the back of the head, which is the string to the top of our pineal gland. It goes to the top, and worked on the multidimensionality, which happens through the heart area. And that's how we connect from the heart all the way to our Christ crown chakras up to our galactic family. So I opened the multidimensional strands and removed density. So, you know, if there's vibrating going on when you're sleeping, this is you. I'm just, so that's kind of what happened. Did anyone else? Yeah, good. Your body's tingling. That's good. That means that it's working. So great. We can always do this again. We can do a whole thing on light language and opening dimensions. And then, Karen, I want to have you back. I mean, you're busy. You're busy bee, but Karen's pretty powerful as well. So thank you for
Oh,
having me.
thank you. Sometimes you know, when I get away, when I'm around my spiritual interdimensional brothers and sisters, it's so real. Everything you say, I just feel is absolutely right on. But when I get away from contact, and I think that's why I do this podcast, because every week I'm getting some good kind of contact. But when I'm away from it, I'm thrown back out into the mundane world. I start to think that maybe I'm a fool. Maybe I'm like crazy. Like, am I imagining all this? How come nobody else is talking about this? And it's easy for me to fall into self-doubt. And it's not that I think I'm being a phony, not at all. This is legitimately my life, and these are my experiences. I hope to encourage other people, by providing the podcast and speaking my truth. But every once in a while I go, because the indoctrination is so prevalent and so deep. But I want to tell you, I've been watching some shows about neuro science, and neurodiversity and stuff. And what's happening is now the old materialist way of looking at things is fallen apart. It's fallen apart as they're starting to realize that all things are emergent from consciousness. So, I think this is really wonderful because it's time. It's just totally time.
And we feel the change, but we got to remember when we feel this in our bodies, and we kind of go, oh God, the old. Well, I think what basically we're spirit, is because that's why we can just be in different bodies here or on other planets, is that we're afraid of emptiness. But that's not going to happen because we're not empty. We're creators. We're creating with the creator, but we're creators. We're creating this, what we want. We're creating our spiritual test. See, I decided I don't want any more pain. I don't want it. I'm going to change and shift my view on pain. And you can also be outside of that. I'm a huge chicken. If there really is pain, I'm outside my body. I don't want to deal with it. I'm a chicken.
Yeah.
But you're right. The more, and same with me, Karen, if I'm not, there's I know we have to live in this world and like fix our food, pay bills, act, no, do these things. I get it. And it does lower vibration, but we have to do these things. And when we get stuck in that, it's just because we haven't been having these conversations. But to be able to be free, truly free, I mean, I don't want to cry right now, but to be truly free to say these things, Karen, with you and with your lovely, guest watching, it's without judgment in a place that's safe. It really edifies me because that is really my truth.
Mhm.
Not the other stuff. I know we got to do it, but this is
Mhm.
why I continue. I didn't know when I started my Seeking Heaven channel 5 years or more ago. I did it because I thought I was being of service, which I am, but I didn't know,
Mhm.
like, it's a massive payoff for me. Because I get to have you on and we get to talk about things that are real to me, and it
Yeah.
edifies my spirit within.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's beautiful. And I want to thank everybody that comes to the live chat. I know you have to schedule time out of your busy lives to come and be with us. And I love your comments and I love all the things that you have to say. I appreciate each and every one of you. I also appreciate those who are listening or watching the replay, which is also going to be on Telegram and Odyssey. Of course, it's on Rumble. It's on X, and of course, all the audio listeners from the Forbidden Knowledge Network. I want to just share my appreciation for each and every one of you. And it just really warms my heart to know that you're all there. It's absolutely beautiful. And thank you, Tamara, for being here. You're amazing. You never cease to amaze me. Your wealth of
Oh,
knowledge, your experiences, you inspire me very, very much. Everybody, please drop what you're doing and go and check out the links and join her channel. Subscribe, like her stuff, leave her some comments, show her some love, because I'll tell you, it's really rare to find someone as open and honest as you, Tamara. So I just really want you to know how
oh,
much I appreciate you and love to have you back sometime. And I'd love to
oh,
come and accompany you
okay. I
on
would love
your
it.
show or whatever you want in the
Oh,
future too.
let's do
Thank
it.
you.
You're always welcome. Just pick a topic and then we'll do it. I mean, because and again, it's so easy with us because when you're synced up with the same mission, um, and this is, and I really admire you, Karen. And I
Thank
know I
you.
think you're genuine too, because you say things like, "I don't know if that's right," and you make me laugh because you are so genuine, and I think that when we show our true authentic self, it may be scary, but that's what people connect with, right? It's our
Mhm,
vulnerability. I mean, I just
mhm.
encourage everybody, don't be vulnerable around jerks, okay? Because this cannot be a good outcome.
Right,
But,
right.
but with like this group, and Karen's created a beautiful soul community where you can have your galactic family here on Earth, and there'll be more stuff. We need a conference. We need to have so we
Yeah,
can all come together. But
yeah.
so if there's any very wealthy sponsors that would like to sponsor a conference, I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't know about Karen, but if you want to sponsor this financially, then we'll get the right people,
Mhm,
and that'd
mhm.
be fun.
Awesome,
All right.
awesome. Okay, so thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Tamara, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody. Hope you have a lovely week.
Bye. Love everybody.
Thank you for joining me for the Aliens and Angels podcast. Read about my true life ET contact in my book called Transdimensional Meet the New Neighbors, which is now available on Amazon worldwide. Subscribe to my YouTube, Rumble, and X channels at Karen Holton TV. The like button and leave me a comment. And please do share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All of the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you'll also find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.